Okay, a couple of people who are still signing up. I don't think we can really wait for them to start ahead with our first speaker. Sige lang, edit mo na lang.
Okay lang.
Yeah. So, for our first speaker, first of all, any one of you familiar with single-page JavaScript applications? That term. Sometimes it's called fast client, sometimes it's called rich internet applications. But anyway, anyone familiar with these things?
Parents. That is
Okay. So you know, these are the new generation of apps out there. If you use Gmail, the new Yahoo Mail, Google Maps. So anyone could give me any more examples of these kinds of sites? Come on, Trello.com is great. Okay. Anything else? Single-page apps right now. Give some examples, like Gmail. Asana.com is one. Yeah, it's also great. Anyone? Come on. Google Maps is one. Facebook. Not really, but Twitter, I suppose, could count. Facebook, almost. So anyway, one of the things that make these kind of sites happen is a library called Ember, which we have James Florentino going to tell us more about Ember.js, which is one of the most used frameworks out there to make these kinds of sites. So without further ado, let's give the floor to James.
Hey. So, okay.
Do you need help there, or are you doing here or there?
Actually, I'm
Salita lang muna.
So
Okay.
just demo the thing. Anyway, I'm James. I do JavaScript and front-end development for. Well, I started with ActionScript actually since 2003. Then 2011, I started working on Node.js projects and mostly front-end development. So yeah, today I'm going to talk about basics of Ember and how I can convince you how to be productive with the framework, with the MVC framework, and yeah, show you the basics.
Okay. So yeah, okay. Let's start with an empty, with a starter kit of Ember.js.
Okay, before anything, can anyone see the screen? Anyone having trouble?
Well, I can set it to my thing. Some colors.
I think it would be great if it was just
Turn off the lights.
But this one.
Okay, anyone in favor of turning off the lights? No? Okay, light stays on. Okay.
So first off, we have a starter kit HTML file. So Bootstrap, the Font Awesome library, and a basic style sheet. For Ember, it requires two libraries. First is jQuery. Second is Handlebars, which is the templating engine, and the Ember.js library, and our app. So let's start off with Ember. So Ember is mostly HTML. So if you have like this one, let's say first our app name. But this one needs to be enclosed in a handlebars tag. So what Ember does is what handlebars do is it compiles all the templates into memory. So for example, if you have this and you try to refresh it, nothing happens yet because we haven't instantiated the app. So let's go to our app.js and create our app. Ember.application.create. We refresh, and there we go. So for example, if we want to create dynamic stuff inside our application, we could try to create a controller. Extend. So if you notice in Ember, there's a naming convention that uses, for example, in classes, you use Pascal cases. For objects, for instantiated objects, you use camel case. So let's create a, I don't know, maybe just an array or something. First name, last name, Let's create a sample JSON file here. There we go. All right, so if we since we have an app name here, so let's change this into a variable. So say app name. Then let's create a contact list, and if we refresh it, there's nothing there. But hang on. Oh yeah, okay. Controller. Oh yeah, it should be application controller. There you go. So we change that to something else. Say contacts. It changes. And yeah, so that's the basic. So in Ember, you could also populate lists if you want to. So let's say let's try to populate this users array into this list. So in Ember, you could use the each. In handlebars, you could use the each helper. So if you want to loop into the yeah. So first name, last name. So there you go. So that's the basics of how Ember works. To let us explore more of the framework, we could try creating a basic app. So let's try creating a simple Twitter list in our application. So take that out and let's have a table. That table has certain fields. For example, first name, last name, Twitter handler, Twitter username. Oops. Okay. All right, there we go. Refresh, and now if we want to populate the list, we use the same. Oops, what happened? Oops, sorry. Oh, there we go. Yeah, we're back. All right, so let's create a list. Let's do that by using the each helper. So each.app.users. Obviously, we need to recreate that list. So each. All right. So first name, last name. Say in Twitter. So yeah, let's create that list here, and say first name, last name. Oh, sorry. Florentino. Fuck, I don't know how to spell my name. Yeah. First name, last name. To Cruz. So if you refresh, you can see the list is there, but there's no Twitter username. So what we could do is create a condition to which we'll set the edit mode for the view. So this is the view, right? So in Ember, you could use templates to populate your stuff. So let's say, let's name this template, the handlebar template as contact. So let's move this table row HTML here. And okay. And instead of looping through the through our manual HTML text, we could use the template. So let's say contact view, and here we could now create our first first view template object. Sorry, extend, and let's say template name is contact, right? Okay, so contact. So if we refresh, it's still the same, no errors. So let's try to create an edit view. So here we could specify if Actually, let's put it here. If view dot is editing, and here is an else statement. Actually, let's move this down here and close the handlebar helper. All right. So instead of showing the a static text, we could a dynamic text rather. We could show an input. So input value. Let's say first name. Okay. Let's just deprecate it and oops. Twitter. Okay. So if we refresh it, we need a way to set the row to edit mode. So to do that, we need to add a new text table cell, table column rather. So action. Let's go back down here, and let's add a here. Let's add a button. So in Ember and handlebars, there's an action helper which triggers an event whenever you click on it or press enter, depending on the type of button that you're assigning it to. So action, say view dot, edit, then target the view. So the view is the container of this this template. So to do that, we go back to the projector again. Sorry. Yeah, hang on. All right. So since we assigned an edit view here, an edit method, we could create it here and say this dot set is editing true, which basically tells the view that hey, I'm editing stuff, and you can do whatever you want. Let's set this to false at first. And of course, we need to have an action that reverses that effect. So this dot set is editing false. Oops, sorry. All right. And okay, now if we try to do that action, sorry. Let's add an icon. Icon pencil. I don't know how to type. Okay, here. Click on it. You see a list of form here. So if you try to change this, of course nothing happens because we don't have an action yet for the for getting out of the edit view. So to do that, let's go back here and create a button that says I want to go back to whatever the default state is. So action is action done, target view. So that basically calls the done method we created here in the contact view class. So refresh it, try to change it. Say my name is now George. Hi George. And now the DOM automatically updates without doing some sort of jQuery stuff, unlike in Backbone. So it's okay. Let's say you want to add a Twitter username. So it automatically updates. So to take that a step further, we could probably add a new field here that. Oh wait, do we have an internet connection? Oh, fuck, sorry. Never mind. So let's. Okay, sorry, hang on. Let me just connect to the sorry Wi-Fi. Whoa. Okay. Source pad. All right, I'm in. Great. So let's display a Twitter handler in the left side. Okay, so let's do that by adding a new table cell, and let's say Twitter pic. Come on. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Twitter pic. So now I'll be showing you how to create a. Come on, Rico.
Beginning 25 minutes.
Anyway, all right. Sorry, that was embarrassing. Twitter pic. So let's create a handlebar helpers. Handlebar helpers basically lets you create custom handlebar helpers. So let's do that. Let's put it at the bottom of the. So hang on. Ember.handlebars.register bound helper, if I'm not mistaken. It's a Twitter pic. So let's try that. We're passing a default value. So let's do a return foo. Let's test it out. Actually, all right. Let's do a test. So if we refresh, hang on, let's add a new table cell here, as well as here. Oops. Okay. Hang on. Twitter pic. So if we refresh, you can see the handlebar helper is working. So it's returning test. So if we want to create like if we want to return a Twitter image, for example, so image API, I think it's https api.twitter.com version 1 users. I think screen. I don't know. Right. Oh, there we go. So let's remove this screen name variable and assign that value there. So if we return the image API, there you go. So, oh, sorry, it's undefined. Oh, that's because we didn't specify the Twitter handler here. So if we update that, you can see it's updating there. So what we want to do is to return an image. So to do that, let's assign a temporary Twitter variable, and in here we need to assign this URL into an image HTML tag. So image tag image src image API and alt Twitter pic. So if we return the image tag, we see it's returning an escape version of the text. That's because Ember by default tries to prevent XSS or cross-site scripting. So that's for save the measure. So to override that, we need to use the string object and call the HTML save a method. We return that. It's trying to request something. So there we go. That's pretty cool. So if you want to, like, for example, I became Jeremy Ashkenaz, and now I'm Jeremy Ashkenaz. And it's not updating. Hang on. Okay. Oh, there we go. So from now, Rico Santa Cruz.
It's not you. I know who that is, and it's not you.
And that's me now. I'm you now. So yeah, that's one thing. One cool thing about Ember. You basically can prototype things easily, with less lines of code. And and the good thing about handlebars is you can also pass options. So for example, if you want to pass a class name inside your image tag, you could go to your Twitter pic helper tag and assign, let's say, a class, and assign image Polaroid, and put it here, and use the options .hash.class. So, okay, it's taking a while.
At this point, though, I may just interrupt you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Have a breather break now. Does anyone have any questions for James? Or
I think the questions
would.
Yeah, all right. The questions I think would be better later.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, okay.
So
Yeah,
people
go
can
ahead.
digest
All
what's
right.
going on. Just a little breather. Nothing yet. Well, okay. After this, James will be taking a few questions.
All right.
So if you run into something that you want more clarification, you'll be able to answer it after the talk.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So how about creating a new what if we want to create a new contact on the fly here? So to do that, we could create a new view that handles that. So here we could do another table row with a call span of, since we're now using 5 columns, it's 5, and button icon, say plus, and say add contact. Refresh, it's there. So let's add a space. All right. So if we want to add contact, we can assign a new function to that certain method. Certain view. But now we have a problem because if we're going to target an action, where do we assign that method to? So let's go back to our app.js. And of course, we can't assign that to the array, and we can't assign that to the contact view. What we could do is probably just create a new controller for this, so a new method in the controller to handle all the logic. So let's do a new contact or create contact. So what this does is it adds a new user, add object, say an empty object, sorry, okay, that will do. So if we go back to our template, we could assign that new action here, action create contact. And refresh, let's check for errors, and we get a default contact. So for user experiences purposes, we'd want to be able to set this to edit mode by default. All right, so to do that, we could go back to our app.js and modify our contact view. So in Ember, you could override the initialization method as long as you call the super, which calls the existing init method. So what we want to do is check if the first name and last name is empty. If they're empty, then we should set the editing mode to true. So to do that, we need to first, we need to first, since we're populating the models through this contact view class, we need to assign the content of that view. So let's assign content binding this. What this basically means is that the content variable will be bound to whatever value the current model would be. Actually, you could do it like this as well, but yeah, we'd want to shorten our stuff here. So content binding would create a two-way binding to the model and what's represented in the view. So to do that, we could now access the content. This.get content, and let's check if the content that first name is null and content that last name is null as well. Oops. Of course, my bin is rusty. Anyway, let's set this to edit mode. So this.edit. So if we do that again, and let's refresh our HTML page. So if we add a contact, now it's showing a default edit mode view for the view. So, right. Okay. So, what if we want to assign an autofocus binding here, so it automatically focuses to the current view, to the current first name input object. To do that, we could assign view names into our subviews. So this input list is actually a subview of the contact view that we created. So in order to access that, we could assign a first name, I guess. First name. And I think that is this.get child. Hang on. Ember.js classes view. Yeah, if you're having problems with Ember, the best thing to look at is the docs. So let's get the child. Create child view. Okay. Well, Actually, let's just assign a custom a custom view for this input variable, so we could reuse it. So let's try to create a new autofocus text field and say the value is the first name rather. Binding. So let's create a new contact view. Oh, sorry. I mean an autofocus text field view. Extend. So we're extending the default Ember text field, and what I want to do is I want to bind the autofocus attributes to the to a property. So attributes binding. Attribute bindings. I think autofocus, and assign the autofocus event to autofocus or true. So if you do that and refresh, and we try to add a contact, it automatically focuses now to the input field. So, say for example, we want to add Jeremy, Jashkinez. There we go. And the problem is, if we refresh, the changes don't persist. So we need to be able to store them into either local storage or a database. So for simplicity's sake, we could use just local storage. Save function, save contacts rather. So let's convert the app.users to string. So stringify app.users, and I think local storage.set item. Let's say contacts JSON string. Let's try to debug this for a minute. So see if okay. So once we create a contact, we need to be able to save it. So this .save contacts. If we let's open up. Yeah. All right. So there we go. We're now saving the list of users inside the local storage. So if we access that local storage that get item contacts, it's now in the local storage. So to retrieve that, we need to be able to set that into the controller. To do that, we could listen to the ready method in the application namespace. So let's set ready, and then parse the JSON. So that's JSON. Actually, to prevent errors, let's put it in a try-catch statement. So JSON is JSON.parse local storage get item contacts, catch for any errors, and if there's an error, we could just say JSON is an array. Else we set the value for app.users as whatever the JSON's value is. So we could remove this now and refresh. Okay, sorry. Oops. Okay, now if we refresh, you can see that this one is automatically shown, displayed by default because we have an empty. Sorry, damn it. Hang on. Do you know, guys, what TinyCR is? It's it automatically updates your browser whenever you try to make changes in your JavaScript and HTML file. So, okay, what we need to do next is to be able to save that to the database there. So, to the local storage. So, Jashkinez. It's weird. I'm using Jeremy's name, and this is a number talk.
Yehuda Katz.
Yeah. Okay. Probably a sad Yehuda. Is it Zay or Z? Z. Okay. Damn, I'm using his framework. I don't know what his name is. All right, there we go. So if we refresh it, oh, it's not there, because whenever we set the editing to false, it's not really sending the controller the update that it needs. So to do that, we need to create a route. Actually, no, actually, I'll show you something else. So in Ember, the right way to manage your views is through routes. So to create routes, you could use the router object, which Ember provides by whenever you create an application. So, oops, where's that? Okay, here. This .resource is the same thing as app.get in Express, or if you have used Sinatra. This .resource, say contacts. So what it does is it looks for the contacts ID in your handlebars template. So since there's none, let's create one by default. Oh, actually, we could just use the existing one we have. Although the problem is, if we refresh this, it's gone. Because in order to access that, we need to go to that, directly. So in order to assign that, to transition to that view, a route by default, we need to override the index route. So Ember.router route extend, and init. So by default, I want this to transition to contacts. Say if we have oops. Hang on. All right, let's just ignore that for now. So if we view the index, so it's not there because we haven't specified the resource yet for the index route. So wait a minute. All right, this is problematic. Let's check the errors. Cannot be property length of undefined. Well, okay, that's weird. Oh no. Well, anyway, index route. Oh yeah, that's because we don't have an outlet yet. So extend. So let's go back and restore that code we deleted earlier. This is what I hate about live demos. Bites you in the ass. So since we are using the contacts template as now a separate template, we need to specify a new one, which handles all the stuff that we will be displaying. All right. So outlet will display whatever the current route's content is. So if we refresh that, still the errors, I think. Okay. Let's go back here and transition to contacts. Right. No. Actually, yeah, I'm sorry. It's not working today. So, well. So yeah. Oh, okay. Now I know. So let's create a. Since we're in the contacts controller, we need to assign a contacts controller inside our namespace. Oh, sorry, in our app namespace. Extend. So let's say. Oh, sorry. What's that? Save contacts. All right. Okay. Save contacts binding. So it'll be a. Controllers, that application, that saved contacts. So what I'm telling the route now is I'll be whenever I try to call the save contacts method, it'll be referring to this code. So to do that, we whenever we set done, we could set we could do this dot get controller dot save contacts. Test. Okay. Hang on. Oh, save contacts of object. It's not a function. Oh, okay. Oh, that's weird. Shit. All right. Oh, what's wrong with this one? Contact controller. Does anyone know why it's not working? No. Okay. So. Well, all right. Let's try to create a new controller for this one. So, say contacts controller. Just instantiate a new one. Create, and let's move all of this stuff here. Move it here, and oops. So now instead of using the create contact method directly in the application controller, we'll be using the app.contacts controller. So, all right, so it's still working. Oh no, it's not working. Unhandled event contacts controller create contact. Ah, all right, I get it. Damn it. Test. Hang on. Oh, it's weird. Create contact. Is that a typo? No, it's not. Oh, okay. That's because you can't pass a namespace in the action. You can't pass the object itself, only the method name. So we have to assign a target, which is the. Hang on, let's move this down so you can see. So we're now targeting the app.contacts controller. So if we try to add one, so now it's now working again. So what we want to do is save it to the database, and to do that, we can now go to our view. Whenever we hit done, we do a save. So app.contacts controller. Contacts controller dot save contacts. We can remove that now, and okay, this is getting problematic. We need to be able to remove stuff there. So to do that, probably let's go back to our index template and create another action for that delete button. So okay, that button danger delete or icon trash, and the action would be delete or remove target, remove object. Oh wait, let's just assign this to the view. So remove target view. So we use the remove object here, and let's say once we hit that, we need to say the app.contacts would remove the object, the current object that it has. So this .get content. All right. So, oops. Okay. Need to also add this to the previous button. All right. So if we remove it, nothing happens because there's an error. Remove object of undefined. Oh, sorry. Wait. Oh, app.user. Sorry. So it's users using the wrong. So if we remove that, and we refresh it, oh, it's still not saved because we are not calling the save function. So to do that, we need to specify this one. So context. So remove this. refresh. And there we go. All right. Woo. So yeah, so that's basically how you do stuff in Ember. So in total, the lines of code that we did for this prototype is just around 67 lines. So that's not bad. And we've managed to create a view, a controller, and override an existing field, an existing view object, and created a handlebars helper. It's terrific. So yeah, we remove Jeremy, Rico, James, and now it's empty. So yeah, that's basically how you do stuff in Ember. All right. Yeah. So, do you have any questions?
Yeah, guys, in case you haven't seen our friend here, he was sitting all the way there. It's James again. So does anyone have any questions for James?
Questions?
Post namin sa GIS.
Yes,
I have actually 3 questions. First is weaknesses of Ember. Second, if it goes toward the approach of no backbone, no backend. Sorry, no backbone. And the third is if what is its comparison to other frameworks?
Okay. Well, advantage of backbone, pros and cons. So,
Well, not backbone.
I'm sorry, Ember. Yeah. Well, so to give you a background, I've been doing backbone for probably around 2 years now. A couple of months ago, I decided to switch to Ember because of how I can rapidly prototype my idea in the DOM. So I guess the pros of Ember is that you don't need to worry about stuff like managing the view. Unlike in Backbone, whenever you try to create a new view, you have to manually update the render method of a view. So in Ember, everything is all templates. So if you have a designer that's doing the HTML and CSS front-end work, you can just coordinate him with the JavaScript developer, and they'll just integrate that template inside the application for him, and it gets things done faster, in my opinion. The cons. The cons is probably the high learning curve that Ember requires. If you, for me, it took me around 2 weeks to get familiar with Ember, and until now I'm still not familiar with the entire API. So yeah, I think if you're planning to invest in Ember, make sure you do it on a daily basis. Yeah. So, oh yeah. Another con is that if you're too comfortable with Backbone's freedom, in Backbone you can do whatever you wish. In Ember, it's you have to follow certain convention. So it's like a religion. You have a certain set of rules. Unlike in Backbone, you're given the free will to do whatever you want. So that's basically what I think.
Okay, does that answer your question?
Questions?
Well, I would say we should have more comparison. Maybe
Angular, okay. Well, Angular is actually my favorite, the most favorite, but unfortunately a lot of startups use Ember because the author of Ember is dedicated to making it future-proof. Angular is quite new, but it looks promising. But for me, I'm a developer. I think objectively, I think whatever's best for the team works, and that's what I would invest in. Questions? Don't be shy.
Anyone have any more questions for James?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a sample of what the structure and how you Ember.js? Like for a single project, how do you structure your views?
Well, the views are just inside the HTML. So, can you show me the HTML file in Vim?
Same window?
Yeah.
Is anyone else
reverse
having?
backspace, reverse slash G DS.
What? DS?
Oh, sure. Yeah, you're using Dvorak, right? So, that's right.
Nerd.
Is anyone else amazed at how fast he types? Yeah.
This is basically how you do your Ember.js view. So it's all HTML. I mean, any front-end designer can show that for you. And that's what excites me is that there's no, unlike in working with Express or Rails, the designer has to learn the basics of Rails and Ruby and just to get into the project. But this is more decoupled, which is great in my opinion. And single page apps are really cool. So yeah. Oh, wait, are you asking about how I separate my JS files? Okay, well, right now I don't separate my JS files, which is bad practice. But in my other venture, which is game development, I use Browserify. It basically runs Node in the front end. So whenever you make changes to your hang on, let me show you a sample.
Do you have internet connection?
No.
You don't.
Yeah.
You can connect to Wi-Fi.
So here is front-end stuff.
No, I know the Wi-Fi password.
For this is a game I'm doing. It's really a clutter of a mess. But to give you an example, this is all in the client side, and I'm using require with no require.js boilerplate. So what this does is that it loads all the relative JS files inside your main.js entry point file. So yeah, check it out, browserify.org. Their website doesn't look quite as good, but it's really nice. I mean, the feature is nice. So yeah, just look on it. I won't really dwell into the details on how to set up a watcher and stuff like that. But yeah, it's really cool. Don't use require.js. It's really horrible and just build your shit. So yeah.
Hey, take offense on.
Sorry, are there kids? Kids at heart. So yeah, if there are questions, don't be afraid to ask. I mean, we're all brothers and sisters. Questions? Okay, well, if there's no more questions. Actually, if you have questions, you could send it to me via Twitter. My Twitter is @Florentino. Or you could, you could catch me in.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. So if you have any questions, go to the JavaScript developer community on Facebook and just post it there, and I'll reply. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed my talk and hope you learned something.